Hey,
Base is under attack.
base is not under attack. So this is Panda Rush, Diamond League versus Palin Major. So this is like the third or fourth time I'm watching this game, so you'll have to excuse the fact that I know everything that's going to happen.
Additional
So
supply
the
crates
biggest
ready.
problem in this game was that during this early bunker harass, terrible things happened. Terrible things. So let's keep an eye on it.
Base
Na,
is
na,
under
na, na,
attack.
na, na, na.
Our SCVs are under attack.
So you found out where the dude was, but you didn't check whether he got gas or not yet. So you're gonna push out, it looks like, with 5 Marines. But we gotta keep an eye on this command center while you're doing it. So you lost an SCV, you come in with a whole junk load of SCVs. Notice how the orbital command not making anything down here, not making anything, not making anything. You lost all those SCVs, you lost all those Marines, and now you're finally back to making workers. So you basically lost the whole game right there. That was just ridiculously silly thing to do. Because 4 Marines and 5 SCVs, if he just pulls drones and lings as you saw in the spine crawler, I mean, he can stop that. And if he doesn't stop that and you win the game, like, you just won with a couple Marines and SCVs. Like, what was the point in that? And then this command center. Normally, we would want to have gotten this at like 4 minutes and 20 seconds. It's already a minute late, and it's actually not going to go up until uh, 6.5 minutes. So this is way behind as well. So this way late, like 2.5 minutes late, and at 6 minutes we're looking for 24 workers, and you have 16 workers instead of 24. That's like an amazing deficit. Like, to win this game, you would have to be playing against somebody who doesn't know how to play. Uh, so I've said a bajillion times the priority of things you need to pay attention to is first pull as much money as you can out of the ground, and then second spend it all. And then only after that does it really matter what you do with your units or which units you make. Because if I have twice as many units as you, I can beat, you know, uh, what's a good example? I can take Marauders and beat Immortals. Like, most of the counters in this game are 20 to 40% counters. So if you have 50% more units, then even if you make the right stuff and use it perfectly, you can still lose. So this double upgradey, the engineering bays, you're starting them pretty late. See how high your gas is? It's up to like 500 now. Um, so that's kind of annoying. You really want to base all of your tech around your gas. So as soon as your command center starts and you've got 2 bunkers, you throw down this double gas, throw 6 guys into it, and then you want to start stim as soon as you hit 100, and you want to start 1-1 as soon as you hit 200 more after that, and then you want to start your factory as soon as you hit 100 after that, and all that kind of stuff. So time all of your stuff around the gas. You never want your gas to get very high. This pushing out early with these dudes, I think is a big mistake because you have naked Marines, no upgrades, no stim, no combat shields, no one, no one. And Zerglings just dominate unupgraded Marines. Now, you got lucky that your stupid opponent took like 30 Lings and attacked into your Marines. And just basically suicided all his Lings. It was really dumb of him. Um, but now he's going to make more Lings, and you're just going to lose all of this. So basically, if you leave your base with unupgraded Marines after Ling speed is completed, you're just asking to lose those Marines. So right now, because he made that stupid mistake, you're $75 ahead. But then he's just going to come out and stomp the floor with these Marines, and now he's $300 or $250 ahead. And then the same for this little group of 4 Marines, like boom, totally dead. That's the problem. Is Lings with speed are so much faster than Marines without stim that they're dead if he ever has enough units to kill them, and he doesn't have to fight you unless he has enough units to kill you. So an ideal Zerg will only fight battles he knows he can win, and he'll win them by like a huge margin like this. So you got really lucky that he came and attacked your bunkers with speedlings that didn't have any upgrades and didn't have any banelings with them or any roaches or anything capable of killing bunkers. So he's going to lose a bunch of crap here for no reason. But you can't count on Zergs being this stupid. Um, so yeah. You did a decent job of not dying to this counterattack or whatever, but Lings without Banelings isn't really scary. Marine SCV can easily mop that up. So again, you were way behind economically in the beginning, and you're still pretty. I mean, you're actually pretty far ahead now economically because your opponent has just basically failed at life. Um, at 10 minutes, a Zerg who's unharassed like this, like he could have just made 5 spine crawlers and no lings and been perfectly safe against your 15 marine push. Like he didn't need to make all those lings. And typically a Zerg will get between 46 and 52 workers by 10 minutes. So your opponent is behind, like way behind, but you're way behind too. So you guys are both just way behind economically. And unlike you, he chose to be behind. You didn't put him behind. He just chose not to make any workers. And I think you just got lucky that he was cocky and didn't make any workers. Um, so 31 instead of 44, big deal, 13 off. And he only killed 5 workers, so being 13 off is pretty significant deal, and we'll see at 15 minutes how big of a role that played, you being so far behind. So anyway, he came and killed a bunch of your crap, and then he suicided all his crap. So right, if he hadn't made this attack, he would have been pretty far ahead, even though he's economically a little bit behind. Just because you should never push out with Marines until Stim is done. Without Stim, Marines can't fight Zerglings. So now Stim is done, and Combat Shield's just finished, and 1-1 is done. So now you're at least a little bit strong. I mean, I usually like to wait for 2-2, but usually my 2-2 is finishing around 14 or 15 minutes. So your upgrades are really far behind. So anyway, the next thing you need to worry about is securing your third before you go and push out. So what you should do is use your first push either as a distraction to secure this third, or if you push to the third and then build it, then that's fine too. But really, your third should be building, and actually, it should be morphing into a planetary fortress before you look away to go attack and be harassing and stuff. And the reason is because what happened to you in this game is something that happens to me, or used to happen to me all the time. Before I made the rule for myself that I always need to secure my third before pushing out, is you're so distracted by this battle that your third doesn't go down. So you were ready to put this third down at 14 minutes, and it's 15 minutes, it's going to be 16 minutes, it's going to be a million minutes before that third actually goes down. And that's bad because your main is already 1 patch dry. And the later you go, the more patches will dry up at your main.
Ready for dust off.
Oh yeah, I wanted to mention in that last battle right here, you did something cool, which is something that I do as well, which is you picked up 16 of your Marines and then dropped them one at a time so that the Banelings could inefficiently splash on them. But when you're dropping Marines, medevacs don't heal. They can only drop or heal. They can't do both at once. And so you might as well have them moving when they drop, because you dropped 16 Marines out of these 2 medevacs, but you dropped them all in a little pile. So that's not a spread at all. Like, the whole point of putting things in medevacs and then dropping them back out is to spread them out so the Banelings will only splash on 1 Marine at a time. So, so when you do something like this, you want to unload them and then move the medevacs down here so that they come out boom, 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 you know, like that. Let's catch back up to where I just was. So you've seen your first infestor right there. And you come with a whole big, huge chunk of Marines and stand outside the edge of the creep. And you just kind of go off to scout to see if he has a third, and scout over here to see if he has a third up there, which I think is cool. And then you scan over here and see his army. You see infestors and lings coming. Now this is where the game ends. This is where you win the game. So first let's talk about how far behind you were. We've got benchmarks for 15 minutes, so we're going to look. You've got $5,100 of army spent. You spent pretty much all of your money. You've been doing okay with your macro. You have 1-1, which is 400, and then stim and combat shields, which is another 400, and then 200 more from bunkers. So your total army spending is 6,000. So if we look over here, at 15 minutes, the army spending benchmark is 9,000, and you've only got 6,000. So this is uh, the Uber Apps benchmark, and up here, this is the one base benchmark. So you actually have a smaller army than you would have had on one base. Like, that's pretty sad. So and all of that just comes from you being so far behind economically at 6 minutes. You were at 16 workers at 6 minutes, and there's just no way to catch up from that. So with Terran, the most important thing is to constantly have that worker count building. You never want to stop making workers, and you never want to obviously lose workers. And if you do lose enough workers, like so many workers in the early game, it's really important to throw down that third command center just so you can catch back up. Because there's no way to make more workers per cycle than normal. So if normally you're popping out 2 workers every minute, and you're at 24 and then 30 and then 44 at the various benchmark times, and you lose 10 workers in the beginning, you're not going to catch up. You're just always going to be 10 workers behind. So the only way to catch up is to make another command center. So that's why it was even more important in this game to secure the early third than it is normally, and yet you secured the third really late. Actually, spoiler alert, you didn't secure the third at all. By the end of this game, you hadn't secured your third. So anyway, here's where you win the game, and you'll notice the reason you're going to win the game is because your opponent is stupid, right? He just never got a reasonable number of workers. Even on 4 bases now, he's only got 54 workers, so that's, that you just got lucky that this guy was really bad. So here he comes. He's got, right now, infestors with tons of energy to fungal, and some banelings, like a bunch of banelings, and lings. Now, infestors, banelings, and lings go together. You use the lings to tank and do damage, while the infestors, fungal growth, and the banelings splash. If he had come with all of his troops at once, he could have easily mopped this up. In fact, this is just 2 fungal growths or 3 or 4 fungal growths could have killed all of that, and he has well over 4 fungal growths available to him. So at this point, you're ahead because he's been stupid economically, but he could have easily killed this entire army without losing anything. But instead, he runs in here with all his lings and loses every single ling for no reason. So before this battle, you guys were even on units lost, and after this battle, you came out pretty far ahead on units lost. And now, he's got all these support units and no meat to tank for them. So he walks out and just kind of loses his infestors, loses a bunch of banelings, splashes banelings onto 1 or 2 marines when he totally didn't need to. There's not even any medevacs overhead. He could have easily mopped the little groups of marines up with lings. But yeah, so he just kind of falls apart here and loses. And this is, look at 1500 gas too. That's a pretty big deal. When he's going for infestor baneling, gas is the thing he wants most. And to be behind on minerals as Zerg is like unheard of. He's totally playing this wrong, and that's just because he just didn't make any drones. So I liked this stuff right here where you killed those infestors. You had a really good like spread, and you didn't let him get any fungal growths down. And that's all just because you rallied your racks over here. It's not like you spread these guys out on purpose. They just walked out over here spread, and that's what happens when you rally some racks. They all just kind of spread randomly out. So this was cool. And then you're knocking down his bases up in the north, and he can't get to them, so he kind of panics and throws away banelings for really inefficiently. Like, look at this. Right now, he just went from even to $2,000 behind just by killing like 8 marines with infestors and banelings. You really, as Zerg, you really need to have either lings or roaches and the support units. You can't fight with the support units by themselves. I liked that you hopped up into the medevacs and then dropped 1 marine at a time out of the medevac to get blown up by the banelings, and really just mopped up those banelings really efficiently. Good job. And now the game's basically over. So, yeah. You did really well using your units, and you made the right units, and you kept your money low all game, which is hard to do, and you did a great job at that. But your biggest problem was that you just never really secured your third, and you were way behind on workers all game. Like, you haven't built any workers in a long time. You're still at 52. Also, you got to remember at about 15 minutes. Hey, that's awesome. Eli is your bestest friend. So at about 15 minutes, your main is going to start to run dry. So you just got to remember, somewhere around 15 minutes, when you're securing your third, you should pull guys off your main. At least some, or a lot of guys off your main. So good job. Bye. Wait, how do I stop this?